Stan Arthur here for the I Love St. Pete Facebook group. If you're a business owner looking to connect with tens of thousands of potential new local customers, you owe it to yourself to get enrolled in our Key Tag Rewards program. Since 2019, we've signed up more than 200 local merchants. Sponsor opportunities are available too, such as our group banner ad and even your own custom key tags. Just go to stpetekeytag.com, get enrolled, and get ready to get busy. stpetekeytag.com.
Hey guys, what's going on? Welcome back to another edition of the Evolution of Sports Talk Television here live on a Tuesday night. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, giving you something to think about. And how do we start off this show here? Bring your passion, bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense. On tonight's show, we'll have Mr. Harry the Greek professional handicapper extraordinaire from 1252 Chicago Sports. And then, of course, we'll take your phone calls, 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Bucs fans, how are we feeling after being 8-3? Are we feeling good about that? Are we feeling confident with going into that game versus the Atlanta Falcons on Sunday? Of course, we'll be live with your pregame show here on NSPN, I Love St. Pete, starting about noon, getting you ready for Bucs versus the Falcons live from Ducky Sports Lounge, 1719 West Kennedy Boulevard in Tampa. Once again, we'll have your pre, half, and post-game edition. Yours truly, Jason Powers. Actually, Jason Powers is going to be in Atlanta, so it'll be yours truly, Blake Anthony, and some other cast of characters. You never know. Just keep on tuning in here live, getting you ready for, once again, Bucs versus the Falcons. So once again, how are you feeling about that win? Get on the phone lines. I definitely want to hear from you. So without further ado, I tell you what, let's go out to our guest. Let's go ahead and get his intro music on. Here we go. Professional handicapper extraordinaire, 1252 Chicago Sports. Welcome to the Evolution of Sports Talk Television on this Tuesday night. How you doing, my friend?
Doing fantastic, Peter. Doing really, really good, man. Just love a little bouzouki. You know, by the way, that's a form of a guitar for people that don't know what that is, but that is a really, really cool song. Thank you. I appreciate it. Great walk-up music.
You deserve it. And we'll try to figure out walk-up music for everybody else. Once again, I got monetized on YouTube, so can't use really anything that's copyrighted. So you guys are going to have to find something on YouTube, or I'll find something on YouTube that is non-copyrighted so we don't get flagged for it, because I hate doing that. And at the end of the day, it's all about making money, and that's what we're going to try to do here on
Here comes the money.
That probably was not a good thing to play, but that's what I'm going to play when talking about money, and especially talking about money at this point. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers were money on Sunday, beating the Indianapolis Colts. Your thoughts?
Well, before we get into the thoughts about that game, let's talk a little gambling. What do you say, Pete, huh?
Let's talk it. Let's do it.
Are you ready?
I'm ready.
Hindsight's 2020. Everybody knows that.
Mm-hmm.
You remember the 88% rule.
I do. Go
Road
ahead.
teams
On
road
that.
teams that are 2.5 point favorites on the road,
Mm-hmm.
88% of the time you go to the home team. Now, last week you had the Carolina Panthers at the Miami Dolphins. 2.5 point favorites on the road. Eh, you could have flipped either way. I just so happen to like Miami there.
Mm-hmm.
But how about the Chargers being 2.5 point favorites at the Denver Broncos? Denver absolutely handed them their ass in that game.
Crushed them.
That's what the 88% rule does. And it's really simple. If you cannot bet the home team during that particular rule, stay away from the game. Because generally, if it looks too good to be true, Peter, what is it?
It's too good to be true.
Period.
It is what it is. And who wasn't good on Sunday for the Carolina Panthers? Let's get into that.
Christian.
Well, Christian McCaffrey is out
Cam Newton.
now. He's gone to the IR, but Cam Newton, 5 for 21, 92 yards, couple interceptions. I mean, not a good day for Cam Newton. Have we finally lost this infatuation? Do you think media and talking heads will lose this infatuation with
Well,
Newton?
let's see. No.
No.
No, I
mean, it's
don't.
not like Miami's a great defense at the end of the day, but goodness gracious, that was a really, really poor performance by Newton. And then you get McCaffrey. So, how do you think Carolina deals with not only the McCaffrey injury, which they've had to deal with the majority? In fact, listen to this. Ever since the Panthers have signed him to that big time contract to make him the richest running back in NFL to have the biggest contract, he has missed 23 out of 33 games. It kind of tells you not only do you not draft a running back in the first round, but also you don't pay a running back, right?
No, you just generally don't pay a running back unless his name was Adrian Peterson.
Mm,
I mean, let's talk about that. Adrian Peterson, when he got paid, I mean, he let's face it, man, that was an anomaly. But for every Adrian Peterson I give you, I can give you 10 other running backs that got paid.
mhm.
Two that come to mind, you want to know who they are? Ezekiel Elliott
Right.
and McCaffrey.
And Kamara at this point too, because Kamara's been
Yeah.
somewhat productive, but he's also hurt at this point. So it's just like,
Now Ezekiel hasn't been hurt. He's
right.
just not. He just don't. You know what he reminds me of?
Who's your
And I'm
right?
trying to remember. He kind of reminds me of Albert Hainsworth.
Mm,
You remember
I do.
Tennessee didn't want to pay him?
I do.
I'm going to go to Washington because the Snyders are going to pay me. And what happened? How good did he look? It's a
Not
shame.
good at all. A bust, a bust. And in fact, this goes all the way back to 2004, Cam Newton's performance 17 years ago. The greatness of Joey Harrington with the Lions. That's how bad Newton was. With that being said, the Bucs down 24-14 at halftime. You kind of pushed the under on this. Were you surprised that it went over? And give me your thoughts on that offensive game plan by the Bucs with running Leonard Fournette and Ronald Jones. That's a winning formula at this point, right?
Look, man, I told you from before. First off, I got to tell you that was one of the two games that I actually got wrong.
Mm,
I went 9-2 over the weekend, which was really good. From Thursday, I went 3 for 3, and I went 9-2. I mean, just it was just really good. But listen, in the first quarter and a half, it looked like Indy was just playing this team great.
yeah.
They kept coughing the ball over. The game didn't have to go over, but shoulda, coulda, woulda. The game still went over, and it was just a bad pick on my behalf. But from my own personal analogy and my own personal perspective, and after rewatching the game again, um, Tampa still has got a lot of things to clean up. And we could just put this narrative to bed. It's right now between Tampa and Green Bay as the two best teams in the NFC. You didn't hear me say Arizona. You
No,
didn't hear me say anything about, about the Los Angeles Rams, because the Rams aren't playing very good football. And I understand that everybody's enamored with Arizona, but look, it's going to be a little hard in the later part of the year to have your starting quarterback come on and just turn the switch on.
sure.
It don't work like that. It's not a running back. This
No.
isn't a wide receiver that can, oh, I can run half a route and I might get it right. This guy's going to have to be dead on from start to finish. It's a big difference, Peter. Big difference. But
And you look
I was enamored with what Tampa Bay did in this game, especially now defense. Yeah,
right.
it still bothered me a little bit, but look, they're playing no different on defense than they did last year at this point of the season, in all honesty. They don't have to turn it on yet, okay? They still have one of the best records in the NFC, and they haven't even hit their stride yet. This is kind of scary.
It is kind of scary. And I tell you right now, in your opinion, do you think they're starting to turn it on, even though that defense gave up 31 points last Sunday versus the Colts, only 7 in that second half? And of course, the offense led by Lombardi Lenny himself, 17 carries for 100 yards, 7 catches for 31 yards, over 100 yards from scrimmage. Impressive, right?
Very impressive. And there was one of the keys to the game for the Colts that I was giving out as well. On the defensive side of it, it wasn't their speedy, really good linebacker and defensive end. It was DeForest Buckner. He caused a little bit of problems for Tom Brady because that man is very disciplined in his gaps. And I'm telling you, when you get that pressure coming forward, it makes life really, really hard on Tom Brady. But man, you got to give props to Indy's defense. Even though they gave up all those points, let me tell you something. It ended up being a shootout, and I didn't think it was going to be. And it didn't look like it was going to be in the beginning, did it, Peter?
No, it certainly didn't. And like that was a great pick. We're on with Harry the Greek from 1252 Sports Professional, handicapper extraordinaire, 9-2 last week.
Yep.
Impressive. Going back to the Bucs, a lot of people are talking about, well, Brady didn't throw for 300 yards. But once again, when you're getting that balance and you're running the ball over 20 times, we've talked about it. That is the key to this team. They don't
Yeah.
have to have Brady go for 300, 400 passing yards. In fact, I would like them to be more balanced because I think they're that much more dangerous. And then, of course, when they get back Antonio Brown here, either this week or next week, they're going to be even more better.
This team's missing Antonio Brown. I know you're asking me for my thoughts. This team is missing Antonio Brown.
Yeah.
Period. You and I have already been talking about it. You could definitely see the difference because they have nobody right now. And I don't want to hear about the Scotty Miller fans that are out there, okay? Scotty Miller is a gadget player. He is a one-trick pony. He's not going to be your slot receiver, going to be running little hook patterns and everything. This is a guy that you want to run flying down the field. But with AB, not only does he peel the top off the defense, he's the best route runner on this team and one of the best route runners in the National Football League.
Agree.
Okay?
Absolutely agree.
But they're not lacking on offense, Peter. This team is lacking on defense. And you're right. You and I have talked about this numerous times about the lack of running the football. This team needs to run the football to be productive. And they showed it last week. And they were hitting the running backs out of the backfield. But let me ask you a question, Peter. Where's Gio?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think Fournette at this point.
No. But hold on. Gio was brought in
right
to be that third down back. That, by the way, that's the cat's tail. Sorry.
That's all right. That's okay. The cat's tail right there. That's a lucky thing here on the sports web. We got to like that. And the cat's tail has been Fournette has basically taken over both roles at this point. Not only is he a starting running back in this league for the Bucs, but also he's their primary pass catcher. And to tell you the truth, once again, he continues to be productive. 7 catches for 31 yards. I mean, he's on pace for 70 to 80 catches this year. Very impressive by Fournette. I'm very impressed. I'm really shocked. I think they're getting a lot of production right now out of their running backs, namely Fournette and, of course, the Jones. Anytime you can bring those two in and get that 1-2 punch, it just takes the pressure off of a Tom Brady. Want to go out to these comments, and then we'll keep on going with this Bucs talk. Reports are now coming out claiming Jonathan Taylor was paid by Vegas to stay off the field.
Shut up!
Roger Shoe says, great show, Harry. Pete, not so much. This is what you get.
Shut up!
Troy Polamalu, King Troy, Trojan legend, bro. The Colts have been the only legit team, and the Bucs have beaten.
Hey, that can be, yeah. I've got to be honest with you. But Troy, they can only beat the teams that are on their schedule, bud.
Right.
Okay, you can't help that. It's just like last year when they said, "Oh, who did they beat when they went on an 8-0 run?" Are you friggin' kidding me?
Right.
Troy, seriously, man. I love you. But I don't know if that was meant to be a dig to get under someone's skin. But hey, man, the Buffalo Bills that they're playing this week is a somewhat legitimate team. Let me tell you why. Okay? Because you want to talk about legitimate teams. Before the season started, the Buffalo Bills' strength of schedule was mediocre to one of the harder schedules in all of football.
Mm-hmm.
Okay? But after week 11, the first 11 games that they played, it ended up being not one of the easiest, Troy, the easiest strength of schedule by the time the records all fell apart. They lost to who? The Jets, I think. Who else did they lose to, Peter?
They lost to the Jacksonville Jaguars, the greatness of.
Say it again.
The 2-9 Jacksonville Jaguars. Let me ask you, Troy, are you going to come out and say if the Bills win the Super Bowl, you know what? Because they didn't beat they lost to the Jaguars and beat all these teams on their schedule, that they're not legitimate? It's hogwash, man. Come on.
It is tough. Oh, by the way, I got to give props to my boy Troy Polamalu. I was doing a show on 1252 Sports with the great David Schuster up there, as a legend in the Midwest.
Right.
And he started with his comments, and there was a sideline reporter for the Chicago Bears in there, and Troy had these boys twisted, bro. I mean, just twisted. Troy, much love, buddy. I had to send them private chats because they didn't know exactly how to handle that. I mean, it was awesome. You should have seen it, Peter.
Well, I'm not surprised by Troy because Troy, that's what he does here. Cats, 2012, North Carolina. Hello, everyone. What's going on?
I like anybody called Cats.
Yeah, Cats, 2012 NC. Brady looks off. In your opinion, you went back and rewatched the game. Does Brady look off? Does Brady look off to you?
No. Brady only looks off when he's looked off since he started his career. Anytime he gets pressure in the front of his face, that's how you beat Tom Brady. That's why he's always had the best center and the two best guards in football year in and year out.
Sure.
Okay. And when you face really aggressive defenses, now hold on, aggressive when you're rushing 4. They just faced probably the best defensive front this year. That includes the Rams.
Wow.
Okay. That includes the LA Rams, because the Rams are a shell of themselves from what they were in the past 2-3 years. I mean, let's just face it. Okay. But Brady's awesome when he's not just facing a 4-man front. It's when you blitz him in his face, he makes you pay. But when you get pressure on Brady with a 4-man front and it's in his face, that's when Brady has problems. So maybe that's what he was thinking about. Maybe Brady looks a little off this year. But any quarterback will. When you're dropping back 7 and you're only rushing 4 and you're getting pressure in the face, that's fine. But you're not going to be perfect with every single throw. It's impossible. I understand he's the GOAT, but let's face it, folks. He's 44 years old, okay? His game's going to step back this much. I mean, cut the guy a little bit of slack.
Well, you cut the guy a little bit of slack because you're missing your best guard in Ali Marpet. He went out with an injury. You have Aaron Stinney, who went out in the first quarter. And then you got Nick Leverett, who, look, he's a third-string guy, and he did a pretty damn good job with that offensive line. They didn't give up a lot of sacks. But you're still feeling that pressure. And at the end of the day, you're not always going to throw for 300 yards. And that's okay if you don't do that. Now, according to Greg Auman, this is kind of funny. Bucs gained 13 first downs rushing Sunday versus the Colts. 11 passing. It's the first time in Tom Brady's 31 games with the Bucs they've had more on the ground than in the air. Happened only 34 times in 324 starts for Brady with New England, or about 10.5%. And people will say, aha, there you go. But once again, we look at the second half of the year with that Bucs team. They're much better when they're running the ball more and taking the pressure off of Brady. That's not to say Brady can't complete throws, but once again, you're not a one-dimensional offense, Harry.
Look, I don't even know how to address it because I'm sitting here reading the comments right now, and you have to go to the very last one. I don't even want to answer your question on what you're saying. You just got to pull this up because it is an asinine comment.
His accuracy seems off. He's been missing easy throws to wide open receivers. Gets frustrating.
All right, let's go back to what I was just saying.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Right.
Tom Brady struggles like any quarterback in the National Football League when he has pressure in his face. A lot of teams aren't blitzing Tom Brady. They're dropping back. That's where Bruce Arians can also be beat. They can't stand playing with when defenses play too high safeties because that's eliminating their deep threat. So they're forcing the Tampa Bay Buccaneers to a lot of very short intermediate passes, just like he did in New England. Okay, that's first problem. Second problem is watch 44. Let me repeat it.
Mm-hmm.
Watch 44. He's not the Tom Brady from 10 years ago. He's
No.
pretty damn close, but
Right.
again, 44. This team gets healthy, it's going to make a super big run in the playoffs. And look, I'm not sticking up for Tom Brady, and I'm not sticking up for the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I am a person who's a fan, but in my position being a professional handicapper, I cannot be biased. I can only tell you what I'm seeing with these two eyes. You are correct. He is missing some easy throws, but so are 32 other quarterbacks in the National Football League.
Right.
Not every team completes every single throw. I'm sorry. They just don't.
They
This
don't.
isn't this he's not Mac Jones right now. He's not Tom Brady 2.0. Mac Jones is not anywhere near the quarterback he would be now if he was playing in a different system. Okay. So he's completing all these easy throws because opposing defenses are letting them have that difference.
That's a big time difference. We're on with Harry, the Greek professional handicapper extraordinaire on 1252 Sports. Let's go out to more comments here. Didn't know Harry was a cat man.
5 of them, baby. 5.
Go Bucs. There you go. Troy Polamalu Goodell is giving the Bucs an easy schedule, and they're still struggling. Yeah. Struggling is 8-3. Struggling. Troy is 8-3. Can we please continue to struggle at 8-3? I mean, honestly, dude, seriously, it's not even funny anymore. It's just kind of
Harry, stop following me on other podcasts.
I mean, honestly, it's just annoying, Troy. I mean, seriously. I mean, honestly, his accuracy seems off. He's been missing easy throws. We read that. Cats again. I thought Leverett was bad. He nearly got Brady killed. I thought
that's why he starts string.
Right. I thought there were some instances where there was pressure in his face, but to call on a guy and have most of the majority of the day, your offensive line to do a splendid job to keep Brady clean so you can have that pocket, especially the second half. I mean, yeah.
Listen, Leverett's going to get better. Let's just say, God forbid, he has to play 3, 4, maybe even 5 more games. I promise you, every game that goes on, he's going to get better. He was thrown in the middle of this game, number one.
Sure.
Number two, they were facing the Indianapolis Colts defense, guys. Okay, let me be the first one to explain to you. That front four is no joke.
No.
Okay, this front four right now is better than the one they faced the prior week with the Washington Red. I mean the
Washington
football. The football team. Okay,
the unknown team, the team that has no name in the National Football League, right?
Yeah, the Red Wolves. Whatever. Okay,
Red Wolves, Red Wave, Red whatever.
The Red Washington
Tide.
team.
Who knows? Who call them the Red Tide? I don't give a crap. I mean, honestly,
neither.
And I'll have a team. I mean, it is a Red Tide over there with Robert Griffin III in his book and what he's releasing about some of the tea that he's about to release. But we'll get back to that in a little bit. Go ahead and finish your point.
Where was I? No, about their defense.
Right.
I mean, honestly, that was probably the best defensive front that they have faced.
Yeah.
And the offensive line for Tampa, honestly, is going to get better. As the season continues to go on, and it hasn't really been bad, to be honest with you. Now, Leverett, he's not used to getting that much playing time. Okay.
Yeah.
but you put him in there. Let me give you some examples. How many people in here have heard of Jason Peters? Years he's been in the National Football League. He's 40 years old. He played for the Philadelphia Eagles. He was a lockdown left tackle. He was bagging groceries last year. He's Chicago Bears starting left tackle. First 5 games of the season. And by the way, he wasn't the first string left tackle, not the second, the third string left tackle. We're talking about a 40-year-old guy, not playing guard, playing tackle.
Right.
On the blind side. His grade as a left tackle the last 3 games have been extremely impressive. First couple of games, they were horrid. I mean, the guy couldn't. It looked like he looked like Donovan Smith with no help. Ole, ole, here, whoa. Okay, it was pretty bad, man. No, but seriously, man, don't get down on this Bucs team. That offensive line is going to be just fine. And I'll tell you what, they can run the table this year. Let me say it again. This team could run the table this year if they have that run first mentality to set up that pass. That's how you win football games. You don't have to chuck it and risk it, no biscuit bullshit, pardon my expression,
Okay.
24/7. You
Right.
still scored over 30 points and you ran the ball.
Yes, and you were down 24-14.
And you ran the ball.
Yes, and you ran the ball, and you ran the ball with authority. You ran the ball for first downs, and you ran the ball to close the game out. BA talked about it. He said that he kind of wished that Leonard Fournette would have stopped at the 2-yard line or went down on the 2-yard line so they could kick a field goal. How do you feel about that? Of course, you look at the end result when you kick it off. This kick coverage, last year, special teams wasn't great. This year, it nearly cost them 71-yard return. What are your thoughts? You go down at the 2-yard line, you take your field goal, you wind the clock down, or do you score when you need to score?
You score whenever you need to score. I've never been a big advocate of people falling down at the 2-yard line. Give me a break, okay?
Yeah.
Seriously, that makes the game so boring. You know what else makes boring? You know what else makes the game boring?
What's up?
I implore everybody that's out there that's watching this, the whole 3 people. I'm only kidding, but whoever's watching this, I want you to leave a comment. Do you think it should be a penalty for taking a knee?
Wow. Well,
Okay.
I mean,
Do you think it should be a penalty for not scoring and deliberately going down at the 1-yard line not to score? And if you don't think it's supposed to be a penalty, I want you to make a comment on why. Why don't you think it should be a penalty? Hold on, you get delay of games, don't you? That's technically a delay of game. I'm going to take a knee. That should be a delay of game. The game's not moving.
well, I mean, look, could there be some type of compromise if you don't like? Because I like it. I think it's look, it's all about strategy at that point. But could you run off 10 seconds or 20 seconds to do that? And would you do that? I mean, at that, I don't. I
have
like,
to make it. Taking a knee is the most ridiculous thing in football. Even if you're on the recipient, even if you're on the winning end of being the recipient of it, you're winning the game. You take a knee. No, buddy, hand that ball off. I love seeing that contact. You want to see something exciting? Let a team try to run the football when they know the game's already won by 10 points. Go ahead. Watch what some linebackers are going to come back in there and try to strip the football. Tell me that wouldn't be exciting.
Sure.
I mean, let's talk about the Washington game.
Right. Well, it would be nice. Here's the thing. It would be nice if the NFL came up with a rule where they actually have a winner instead of a tie. Like that. That's what it would be nice. I mean, if you're going to do a rule of, kneeling down and giving a penalty, how about, try to change the rule in overtime instead of, deciding for a tie. Whoever wins, wins.
Last night, I had fallen asleep somewhere during the third quarter for the Washington game, and I made an in-game bet. Washington was down. It was earlier in the game, and I ended up getting 2-1 on my money that Washington would come back and win the game. I didn't take the points. I just took them to win the game. I fell asleep. I wake up in the fourth quarter. It's like 4 minutes to go. Washington's driving. They look really good, and all of a sudden they get down to like the 22-yard line. They're winning by 8, and I'm like, kick the field goal. Rivera goes for it on fourth down. I'm like, wait a minute, 8, 9, 10, 11. It's still a 2 position. Why is he going for it? I didn't realize the kicker was out of the game. But anyway, now you got to understand, I'm watching this. So they get closer to the goal line. It gets fourth down at like 2 or 3. He goes for it again. He doesn't take the points. I'm like, what the hell is he doing?
Yeah. Yeah.
So they throw the pass. Ultimately, it was scored a touchdown, the whole 9 yards, but all of a sudden they went, oh, wait a minute. He bobbled the ball. I still think it was a touchdown. But anyway, Seattle gets the ball back. They run right downfield, like in 40 seconds to get a touchdown. They have to go for 2 to tie the game. They end up intercepting it.
Sure.
And I'm thinking to myself, what the hell was he doing in this game? Why did they do it? And then I had to start rewinding to understand that they lost the kicker. They had nobody to even kick the football. But that's the point I'm trying to make. How exciting, and it let the other team still in the game, would it be if you didn't have to take a knee? So
Sure.
I'm really kind of curious. What do the people out there think about that?
There you go. I mean, that's the question for the night. Do you think there should be a penalty for taking a knee? Of course, this wouldn't constitute taking a knee when the other team doesn't have any timeouts, right? I mean, when the
Yeah.
quarterback takes the knee,
Mhm.
you still have to run. Okay, you still have to run the plays out. We'll see. I'm not in favor of that. I'm not. But what do you guys think? Should it be a penalty?
I think people would be in favor of it.
Well, they probably would, but then again, it comes back to what the NFL has always preached. It's about safety. So the more rules you have,
You know, they want to talk about safety. It's a barbaric, physical sport.
right,
Okay?
right.
Give me a break. Now they've made it too much of a pansy game. Okay? You can't touch you breathe on the quarterback too hard.
Mhm.
Okay? And by the way, there's also rules. It depends on which quarterback. Okay.
I get a little bit too complicated for me at this point. I just keep it the way it is, but I get what you're saying. I understand and
Okay.
hear the Greek. David says, have you heard anything about Dean? Nothing about Dean yet. It's a shoulder injury. We should know more
God, I hope he's
about
okay.
this. I do too, because look, this is one of the things that a lot of Bucs fans don't consider, and they continue to be reactionary when it comes to the Bucs. Well, they shouldn't have drafted Kyle Trask. They should have drafted a cornerback. Okay.
Why?
Did we see how well that back end played last year in the postseason? Did we see that Dean is young, Sean Murphy Bunting is young, and of course Carlton Davis, and they like Ross Cockrell. So why would you draft another corner at that point? And now fans are saying with all these mock drafts coming out, Bucs got to draft a corner. Bucs got to draft a corner. Not necessarily. They may be happy with what they have. Nobody anticipated that they were going to have multiple injuries to that secondary. Maybe one, but not most of your secondary was going to be hurt. Nobody anticipated they were going to have to sign a Richard Sherman, but the reason why you do sign him is because you lose an SMB and a Carlton Davis. So stop with the whole nonsense of Bucs should have drafted a corner, this and that, and the other thing. This team won the Super Bowl last year on the strength of that back end, not only on the pass rush, but also the back end.
I'll have to agree with that, but I mean, look, you can never have enough corners.
You can never have enough defensive ends or defensive
all the way up to week 8 last year. Everybody wanted to hang Sean Murphy Bunting by his balls off the Park Boulevard, okay, and wanted to torture the poor guy because they kept calling him toast, okay.
Right.
So I'm not going to be surprised if you're going to have comments talking about SMB because he got burned on that one play. FYI, even Darrelle Revis gets burned once in a while.
Correct.
Okay. And I'm not saying he's Darrelle Revis. He couldn't hold Darrelle Revis's jock strap. Okay. He's not that type of player. But I'll tell you one thing about Darrelle. I'll tell you one thing about SMB. When he's right, bro, they don't even want to throw to his side because he's extremely aggressive. He's a ball hawk.
Yes.
Okay. That's what made me like Sean Murphy Bunting. I told everybody, pump your brakes on this guy. Don't make him lose his aggressiveness because that aggressiveness is going to end up being interceptions, turnovers. And by the way, you don't win the Super Bowl without SMB because I remember one particular game he made a pick. That is the reason why they won the football game.
Well, I mean, I think it's the Saints. I mean, the Saints game to me, it always goes back to Drew Brees and how look, that secondary got beat in the first matchup, and they definitely got beat in the second matchup. But when SMB was physical, he was using his length. He definitely made one of the plays of the game. to put the Bucs in business. So,
Mhm.
I think, I don't want to say this, but I believe this. This is the way a lot of Bucs fans are acting. Very spoiled at this point. I mean, honestly, you guys thought they were going to go 17-0, and that's just not how it goes these days. It doesn't go that way. You're not going to go freaking 17-0 without injuries. It's
Yeah,
not
well,
going to happen like that.
it's okay to have it's okay to have expectations in that. You have Tom Brady as your quarterback. I understand, Peter. I love you because of your passion. But there's two things I'll never tell someone what to do. I'll never tell someone how to spend their money, and I'll never tell someone how to feel.
Mhm.
When you have Tom Brady as this quarterback of this football team and you have the talent, there is no reason why you can't expect this team to go 17-0. But doing this for a living
Right.
and watching games, it's harder to go 17-0 than it is to go winless. Or is it the other way around? Anyway, it's super hard to do.
Sure it
Either
is.
way, okay?
Right.
And there's nothing wrong with expecting that from your team. But hey, man, it's football on any given Sunday. Look, Buffalo Bills lost to the Jets.
Right. I mean, honestly, and I'm reading some of these comments, and I love some of you guys here. Let me go ahead and
Bring
read
them up.
you. Bucks out in the first round of the playoffs. Dude, your team has not even made the playoffs. What are you talking about?
Hey.
I mean, seriously,
Hey, we were in the playoffs
know?
last year.
I mean, how would you know that they're going to be for one round and done? Come on, this team is hard to watch. They seem to self-destruct a lot. Really? They have 3
8-3.
losses
Please,
this year.
please do me a favor. Keep
What are they, the
self-destructing.
Detroit Lions? Are they the
Hang
Cleveland Browns at this
hang on,
point?
hang
Am
on,
I in the
hang on.
twilight zone? Yes.
Hey, Kitty Cat 2012 in North Carolina. Their record is better this year in 11 games than it was last year. Just
Yes.
throwing that out there.
Right. I
And
mean,
by the way, with a harder strength of schedule.
right. Exactly. People, and they won't talk about it. It was a rollover team. They lose to the Rams. Okay.
Rollover.
Yeah, right. They lose to the Rams on the road. They lost to Washington on the road, which, by the way, all these teams are in contention right now. They've beaten everybody they needed to beat. And honestly, they could be undefeated if they could get out of their own way. But you know what? The other team is paying too. Get over it.
Wait a minute, they actually make money?
Yeah, we try to make money. They try to make money. We try to make you money. 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. I don't know what team he's watching. I think he's watching Cam Newton and the Carolina Panthers because he says he's from North Carolina. That team is self-destructing.
Hey, I have a question for you. Is little Kyler Murray back this week, or is he out?
No idea. I don't even
If
know.
anybody out there knows, this is kind of important. Go ahead and
Yes.
make sure you go ahead and post that. Sorry, it's not my show. I'm trying to work here
okay.
too.
No, I absolutely agree. Troy Polamalu, King Troy, we need to draft a cornerback. Receivers are always leaving Bunting in the dust. And on that play, Antoine Winfield and even our own Blake Anthony pointed it out. Bunting, SMB had outside coverage, okay, or outside responsibility. The safety was supposed to be over the top. The safety wasn't there, which was Antoine Winfield Jr. Now it happened again. And of course, you saw the result of it. Winfield Jr. was fighting for the ball, made a big time play in that game. But that's not all on SMB, right, Harry?
Yeah, that's correct. It's just not all on SMB. You see, you're quick to notice the plays that he did bad on. Like I said, even Darrell Revis got burned every once in a blue moon. He's not Darrell, but how about compliment the guy for the things he did do in the game? He did tackle very well. And remember, he's coming back off a pretty significant injury, and he played a lot this weekend. So
Hey,
how
guys,
about being more thankful for it?
you guys are real Bucs fans? You call yourself real Bucs fans? You remember Deion Sanders in Atlanta getting toasted by Horace Copeland? Look it up. 727-255-0391. Yeah, and he got hurt.
Say it with me. Prime
time. Right.
Prime time. That's
And
Sean Murphy bunting.
And
When he makes an interception, I want to see him doing this.
why not? I mean, will the fans shut up about it? Honestly, honestly, I understand Troy Polamalu. You're not a big SMB fan at all. No way we run the table. Why not?
Good.
Why
Because
can't you run the table?
you're getting.
Why?
You know what? Hey, cats. Hey, kitty cat. Tell me why they don't run the table this year. Seriously,
Yeah,
give me
I
a
mean,
reason
call
why. Put
in.
it in there. I'm not busting your balls, Peter. Put the link in there. I want to talk to this guy.
All right, let me go ahead and put the link in here. Let me go ahead.
Nobody else get on. Kat. All you have to do is click on the link. I'm going to give you exactly a minute and a half. You're going to have the platform full screen, and I want you to explain to me why you think this team cannot win out. And they probably won't, but I just want to hear your reasons for it.
Well, I tell you what, we got somebody calling in here. I don't know who this is. Maybe this is him. Welcome to the evolution of Sports Talk Television. You're on with yours truly, along with Harry, the Greek professional handicapper extraordinaire. What's your name? Where you calling from?
I'm from New Orleans, Louisiana.
Who is this?
Michael. I'm calling from New Orleans, Louisiana.
Okay, are you Cats 2012 NC?
No.
No. He's a bill collector trying to collect that money you still owe me, Pete.
Right. Who is this? Okay, this is Michael from Louisiana. All right, Michael, go ahead.
Yeah, I'm not a hater like him. I'm just gonna state the facts. How we've been playing like the offense, like this offense can be so much better. They killed themselves with these turnovers and these stupid plays. I feel like
Michael.
No, let him talk, man. Let him talk. Let the guy vent.
I just want to preface this, Michael. Keep in mind here, this team has been without Rob Gronkowski for the majority of the year. You remember how much of an impact he was the first half of the year. Antonio Brown, they've had Mike Evans, they have Chris Godwin. Both of those guys are banged up, and they're still 8-3. Now you can go ahead.
But are Mike Evans and Chris Godwin bang up? I thought they like got healthy. Now I know Rob Gronkowski is back. I feel like he opens offense much more better. I see that now. So when AB comes back, I hopefully comes back next week. I feel like the offense got to click. Like we need them to click now. We at the end of the season. Like almost the playoffs is coming. We need this offense to click. Because I'm not sure if we're going to get the number one seed. I don't know how that's going to work. I feel like if we get number one seed, nobody's beating us in Tampa Bay. That's just facts. But I feel like we're on a road. I'm just not sure because this year on the road, we're like 50-50. I'm not sure.
Now, that's a legitimate comment that I actually heard from somebody because they are struggling on the road. Mike, stay on the phone. But I want to preface something to you, okay? And even my cat that's behind me over my left shoulder, okay, is agreeing right now. And Gizzy's saying they're 8-3 and they've been banged up. They're 8-3 and you're frustrated. What would not make you frustrated?
I'm not really frustrated.
Okay.
It's like we're not the only team that's been hit with injuries. A lot of teams been hit with injuries. Look at Baltimore Ravens. They're the top team in the AFC, and I think they've been killed with so many injuries. I feel like it over to Baltimore and like Cardinals. They're not losing and they've been winning without Kyler Murray and DeAndre Hopkins. I feel like we're not the only team that's hit with injuries. That's what I'm just saying.
Okay, well, that's a fair assessment, but even you said that Gronkowski means a big part of this offense, and he's been out, and now you've seen him the last couple of games, how much better this offense can be. So I'm saying, even with all those injuries, they're still 8-3. I'm not saying it's perfect at this point, but, to doubt them and say, you know what, they can't turn it on, don't you think they've turned on that switch a little bit?
A little bit, even though like last time we played the Giants, I like the offense was like all the way there for like they always do this to themselves. It's always offense. It's not the defense better than them. It's the offense killing themselves with stupid turnovers and just mistakes. I'm like, y'all can be so much better. Like just kill it with the turnovers. Like I'm not sure if it's been like it's just 3 weeks after Brady got like 4, 3 interceptions. Sure. It's not really his fault. Like saying like. Why do they so much with stupid turnovers? Like I just don't get it.
I agree. No, I mean
definitely they're still 8-3. The other flip side of the coin, they could be the Chicago Bears. The Chicago Bears could have a winning record right now because they lost games to the Pittsburgh Steelers. They never should have lost it. The referees gave them. They've lost games to the Baltimore Ravens that they dominated the entire game, but they still lost because of bonehead plays. The difference is the Buccaneers are still making bonehead plays, and people like you, not being indicting when I say this, and please don't take this the wrong way, you're frustrated and you're 8-3.
Yes.
Just grasp that for a minute. You're 8-3. You don't want this team to be balling out every single week because you know why? That's called peaking too soon. This team didn't peak. Last year they were 7-5. They turned the ball over a lot less. a lot less in their first 12 games than they have this year. Okay, and this team actually has a better record with a harder strength of schedule versus what last year had. And you'd have to agree with that. Now, going into the home stretch, and now you're getting healthy, and you have the possibility of getting Antonio Brown back. You're getting a healthy Rob Gronkowski. I can see a lot of people. I'm surprised people aren't beating down the roads going, well, why haven't they got rid of O.J. Howard? Why? Because Gronkowski is also getting up there in age. And for the people that are out there saying, well, they should have drafted a cornerback instead of addressing the quarterback need. He's 44 years old.
Right.
And you're 8-3. Thank the football gods and Jesus himself that he allowed this team to be put together.
I agree. And that's the reason why. And we talked about this, Michael, in the offseason. A lot of people said trade O.J. Howard, trade Cameron Brate. And what did I always say about it? You can't trade those guys because Gronkowski has been known to be injured. And the Bucs were very fortunate last year. They didn't have to deal with that situation. But this year they had to deal with it. So you're glad that you have a Cameron Brate and an O.J. Howard instead of, taking that knee-jerk reaction and trading those guys. What else, Michael?
Great call, by the way.
Yeah, I feel like that was like stupid. Whoever say like trade OJ and Cameron, I feel like that was just stupid because
Right.
like Gronk is not going to be 100% always healthy in a season. Like if you were to trade OJ and Cameron during the season, during the off season, who would have been stuck with that tight end? Because Gronk got hurt. Who would have been stuck with that tight end? Like I feel like that was stupid of them saying that.
Exactly.
You got Cameron Brate. You have O.J. Howard. They haven't even scratched O.J. Howard's potential yet. And he's been with this team for years. But you know what I think for more than anything for Buccaneer fans? He's not on the injured reserve.
Right. That's
when was the last time you could say that about O.J. Howard?
And that's the good thing about it. And who knows? Maybe he makes some type of run. Right now, he's not working in the offense. You're not seeing a lot of numbers out of him. You're seeing a guy like a Brate. You're seeing Gronkowski step up. But who knows? Maybe
wait till you see wait till you see the two tight end sets when you got Gronk on one side and O.J. Howard on the other, and you have one less wide receiver with one running back in the back. Wait till you start seeing those wrinkles later in the year.
Sure.
That's when it's going to get really interesting because everybody knows that O.J. Howard, when he catches the ball, he could create serious mismatch issues, especially for corners, safeties, and line. I don't care who's covering him. O.J. Howard is very difficult to cover.
Yeah, absolutely. I know this is Michael. I think this is Cat's NC 2012, man. I appreciate the call. Keep on watching, all right? Use that second
All
call
right.
if you like, all right?
All right, thank you.
All right. Yeah, man.
Hey, man, great caller, man.
He's always been a great caller. He's always been a great follower. I'm kind of surprised. But again, everybody's entitled to their opinion. If I get a little pissed off at you, it's okay because I just had a bad day in sales. And there's got to be some way I'm going to take it out on somebody. So,
no, but Cats 2012, hit that link, please. I want you to tell me why it's frustrating. Can you just do that for me?
Yeah, I think he expects this. I think he expected.
We're not going to beat you up. You're not going to be Brian Pearson.
Oh no, that's him. That was him. That was Michael. That was him. That was Cats, North Carolina.
No, it wasn't.
No, it was him.
No, but he's from the Bayou.
Oh, you mean Brian?
No, Michael's from New Orleans.
That's who just called. That's the same guy. I think.
Okay. No, Cats 1212, North Carolina is not Michael from New Orleans.
Okay. Maybe it's not. I don't know. But I posted the link in there. David says, and running the ball will open up the deep game. Agree. No, says Brandon. Of course, Brandon Spikes going back to the touchdown argument. Do you kneel down at the 2 like BA wanted, kick the field goal, which is what I thought they were going to do, but they go and scored a touchdown. You scored a touchdown. I felt Richard Taroka, I felt Leverett filled in nicely considering it's the first time he's been activated ever. Cats again, Lenny should have never fell down. The touchdown was correct. Okay, go for the touchdown. Richard says, Greg Schiano agrees with the knee thing.
Big deal.
Well, there's a joke there with.
I don't doubt it.
Greg Schiano, when the other team, the Giants specifically, were kneeling, I believe this was the second game of the year, second game in his coaching tender, told the defensive line to attack Eli Manning to cause a fumble, which was a Bush League move, and the reason why Greg Schiano will never, ever coach again in the National Football League.
Right.
Exciting until you lose because of it. Bunting is awful. Another SMB hater here. I say no.
It's time out. Is it any different than what it was last year?
I mean, they don't like the guy for some reason, and it's always goes back to, well, he's getting burnt in coverage. And again, I'm not going to sit here and say that the Bucs have the best back end of all time. They don't. They have things they have to work on, but they're still young. They still have been effective, and once they all get back healthy, which they haven't been able to be healthy and play together. Not one freaking game this year. I think the first game of the year is when they were all able to play together. And then SMB misses the majority of the season, and Carlton Davis gets hurt. And now you have Dean hurt. And you got Richard Sherman and D. Delaney and Pierre Desir. All right, let's go out to David. I say you're up by 20 points. There's 32 seconds left in the game. The game is pretty much over. Run it in for a touchdown instead of going down. How many more plays now you're going to have where people can get injured when there's no chance for the other team to win? Bunting. Kat says taking a knee is correct. Fred says ban the knee and the fair catch. You like that? The fair catch? Yeah, I don't like the kickoff rule. I never liked that. I hated that. But the reason why you have that as a rule in the National Football League is what I talked about, the safety concerns. But it takes away from the kick return game when you kick it out of the end zone. That's what it takes away. So Troy Polamalu, Bunting, Cat again. What's going on with Stinney's knee? Cat again. Peter Bunting seems to get torched every game. Some more than others.
Yeah, he got torched last week and the week before and the week before that. He wasn't playing.
Right, he wasn't playing, but on top of it, it was the safety's responsibility. See, that's the problem. And I love you guys that watch football all the time, but you got to watch it a little bit more. And when you don't see the safety over the top and a guy playing outside, he's expecting that safety to come over the top and help out. That was on Winfield Jr., not on Bunting. David says he's a shutdown when he plays nickel. Kat says, easy, Peter. You're scaring me. All right. Brandon says, Brandon Spikes in the room. Go Buccaneers. Appreciate it. Pac-Man 504. This team is going to the Super Bowl when AB comes back. I like it. Ravens, Patriots, Super Bowl 2022. Let's dissect this a little bit. Ravens and Patriots Super Bowl, first and foremost, can't happen.
Who wrote that?
Troy Polamalu, King Troy, Trojan Legend SC, which, by the way, you've got a new coach and you haven't even talked about. But besides that, it can't happen. And I don't even know if it's going to happen. In fact, going back to Roger Shoe's comment,
it could happen. They're both legends in their own mind. Just roll to the next question.
Lamar
Seriously.
Jackson throwing 4 interceptions and still winning. We'll talk about that in a moment. NC stands for
He's the greatest.
Championship. All right, I posted all that. Let's go here. AWJ misplayed that first touchdown, not SMB's fault. There you go. Thank you, Kat. Fred Swayze more. But Harry, his steak.
Buy Harry his steak. Go back to that comment.
Oh, excuse me.
Yeah.
Buy Harry his steak. You know what?
Yeah.
You get that.
Shitter!
Fred. Oh, you're supposed to be on my side. We won't, mainly due to injuries. We also continue to make stupid mistakes over and over again. Agree with that? Is that a fair assessment? Okay.
That's a fair assessment.
I think that's a fair assessment. If they're not going to use O.J. Howard besides for
Here we go.
An occasional route running, why didn't we trade him before the deadline? Because, David, if you lose Gronkowski like you did the majority of the season, then who do you have? Cameron Brate? Fells? Guys off the street? That's the reason why you have O.J. Howard. Have I explained that enough there, Harry, or do we need to go and expound on that more?
I'm not sure that O.J. Howard stays with this team after the year, but getting rid of him mid-season with the uncertainty with what happened, what was going on with Rob Gronkowski, it would have been almost suicidal because that is one of his largest target for Tom Brady is the comfort and the safety blanket of a tight end. You know, I mean, what would have happened if Cameron Brate went down? I mean, it could have been. You want to talk about catastrophic? That really could have hurt this team.
What Bucs fans should have said? They would have said we should have drafted a tight end out of Penn State, the guy that the Pittsburgh Steelers drafted. We should have drafted this guy. We should have drafted that guy. Everybody wants to draft a cornerback, but nobody can give me a freaking name, a cornerback that got drafted in the second or third round that's made any friggin' impact this year. So until you guys can tell me a cornerback that a specific team drafted in the second or the third round that made an immediate impact, shut the hell up.
He's not going to make an immediate impact. He is waiting, and he's sitting behind the GOAT. And you know what? He may not be the right quarterback for this team.
Well, I'm saying cornerback.
Corner or quarterback?
Yeah, cornerback.
Oh, corner.
Because yes, a
I'm
cornerback
sorry.
that's made an immediate impact for a team this year that was drafted in the second, third, or fourth round.
Not this year.
Not this year, no. Do many corners that get drafted, and I get it, people are saying, well,
Now, Jalen Johnson last year, he did. He made an
Okay.
immediate impact, but he was supposed to be a first-round talent. But go ahead, next time.
No. I'm just saying, and
It
people
doesn't happen often.
Right. It doesn't happen often. It's like drafting a defensive end. That doesn't always happen. It doesn't always transition to the NFL. I understand, Bucs fans, what you're saying. You should have drafted a corner now because you have all these injuries. But look at the bigger picture at this point. You had 3 solid corners. You didn't expect them to get hurt. And now you're depending on guys off the street or that are not going to be starting caliber corners in this league or don't have the experience that the other corners have.
And let's be honest, the 2 really good corners, I believe, were taken in the first round already. The other corners really weren't. I mean, that would have been a bad move. So if that's what you wanted, then you should have said the Tampa Bay Buccaneers sell that pick that they had, not get Kyle Trask, and pick up another additional pick. That I would agreed with.
Sure.
And then you could have got yourself another quarterback and a corner, possibly.
Sure. I mean, if that's what you want to do, but at the end of the day, you look at it, you're Super Bowl champion. You basically have no needs at that point. You're drafting for luxury. And you felt like, look, this quarterback is going to be the future of this team. I'm willing to draft him. Okay, I'm good with that. Even though he's not going to play this year, you don't want him to play this year. You don't want a young quarterback to play right away because it doesn't necessarily always work out. And with the corner situation, you're acting like this defense was bad. Hello? What did they do to those quarterbacks last year in the postseason? Drew Brees, done. Aaron Rodgers, done. Patrick Mahomes, done. Taylor Heineke, done. Those teams, done. Defensive.
Talking about Taylor Heineke.
Yes. I need a Heineke after this.
No, but seriously, talking about Heineke, think about who this quarterback has beaten so far. Just Tom Brady, Russell Wilson. Can you name any other ones? I mean, really?
Yeah.
This guy's been on 4 teams.
Yeah.
4 teams. He's beaten some of the best quarterbacks to play the game. It's unbelievable. I love this kid. Boy, does he play with gut.
I'm going to read the rest of these comments, and I got a question about Russell Wilson because there was a report last night in the locker room. He was sobbing. I want to ask you this question. We'll get out to the comments, and I want you to ponder it. Do you think that the marriage between the Seattle Seahawks and Russell Wilson is over? That goes out to you fans. If you care about the Seahawks, you're the 12th man. 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. It's the Sports Web. I'm your host, Peter Blake, along with Harry the Greek, professional handicapper extraordinaire, 1252 Sports. Let's read these comments. All right, we read that. I just don't feel we are playing to the potential. Brady seems off. Maybe it's a trust thing. Brady and Evans' chemistry has to get on point. We can't deal with road noise. Brady panics. I don't think he panics. I think maybe the Bucs weren't coming back from last year to this year. It's still no excuse, right? I mean, they're not playing great on the road. They're 3-3. They score, coming into the Indy game, they're 23 points a game. They scored 38. Of course, that average went up, but they're not playing like they do at home. I agree with you. When Dean went out, Bulls changed the defense until he made some more adjustments.
Go back to it.
Yes.
Christopher Cole.
Christopher Cole.
Now, this is a guy that watches football, not just the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That's what I was waiting for someone to say. When Dean went out, they made an adjustment to make this team better. They started playing a little bit more zone. They weren't getting after him because Indianapolis was forcing the ball down the field. There were perfect adjustments. It was one of the better, and believe me, Peter knows, and people that out there that know me knows I'm extremely critical about this team's coaching. Okay. I'm not a fan. People know I'm not a fan of Bruce Arians.
Sure.
Never have been. Okay. The risk it, no biscuit doesn't work. But what Todd Bowles did in this game with having Dean go out, it was a thing of beauty to watch that happen. He tried to keep everything in front of him, and for the most part, they did. And Christopher Cole, you picked it up. You get my star of the week, brother. That was the comment of the day.
All right, and going to Buccaneers.com about the defense, outside linebacker Shaq Barrett said defensive coordinator Todd Bowles detailed the plays in which the defense had gone wrong at halftime and told them where they'd be if they just hadn't let them up. It made them determined to come out in the second half, which, by the way, Leonard Fournette had a halftime speech, which really riled up the troops and motivated them. Of course, it made them determined to come out in the second half and be better and more aggressive. They ended up blitzing Wentz on 52.9% of the dropbacks in the third quarter, after blitzing him just 28.9 in the first and 10% in the second. The reason why I think they didn't blitz as much is because they were expecting a big dose of Taylor, right or wrong?
Without question. Without question, they were trying to, and they did run Taylor for the most part, and they were having some success with it. You know, everybody thinks because you stop a running back from getting any kind of a play, as long as you continue to run, that passing game opens up. It's not about always how many yards. It's nice to get your bread and butter to always continue buttering your bread by running the football, but it's not always about the yardage. It's about what's opening up for you. And as far as the running game for Indianapolis, Tampa did a pretty decent job of containing it in that game.
They did. Besides the last drive where the Colts went down and tied the game, which I think would frustrate a lot of fans. But
That's what I was talking about.
Yes,
They didn't abandon the run,
right.
and when it counted, they went downfield. But then again, if you notice what Tampa's defense was, they weren't stacking the box.
Sure. Exactly. Now, believe it or not, the Bucs
we're going to keep it in front of them. We're going to keep everything in front of us.
Everything in front. Now, believe it or not, the Bucs blitzed their second lowest percentage this season against the Colts, but it worked. They rushed 4 or less on 72.3% of Wentz's dropbacks on Sunday, overall nabbing 2 of their 3 sacks in those situations. Of course, one of those sacks being Shaq Barrett. I want to go out to Frank Reich because he was questioned about the involvement of Taylor, and here's what he had to say. Pay attention to this, guys, here live on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. Here we go.
Assuming everybody's okay with the first half, I understand that, when it was in the second quarter, when the run pass ratio is heavy pass and it works, it's okay. But when it doesn't work, it's not okay. So I understand that. So let me just talk about the second half. We come out, we go right down the field 2 times and feel good about what we're calling. There's 15 first and second down calls in the third quarter, and 8 of those 15 plays are directed to Jonathan. 3 passes, and the rest were RPO runs. And then just really close out by saying, this is kind of a philosophical thing. And I realize not everybody will agree with this and not everybody will like it, but this is just kind of who we are and who we're going to continue to be. Because when you're a one-back offense and you have to find creative ways to handle all the run blitzes, because we have Jonathan Taylor in the offensive line, we have teams get very creative and run blitzes and in heavy boxes. So one of the ways to combat that is formationally to do things. Another way is RPOs. And then, so we're going to continue to not major in RPOs, but it's going to be a part of what we do. I'll just give you the numbers on those in the second half. We had 6 RPOs in the second half that were called runs to Jonathan that ends up getting thrown. And on those plays, we averaged 7 yards a play. So one thing that I think is important to note that it's interesting about RPOs. They're throws, so you don't get, but you're calling the run. And if you average 7 yards a play on a run, you're going to be real happy with that. And I'm really happy with the productivity of our RPO game. It's been exceptional, and it was exceptional in this game as well. Incomplete plus 15, plus 11, plus 7, incomplete plus 7. That's almost 7 yards of play. So happy with that.
All right, so welcome back to the evolution of Sports Talk Television. Let me go ahead and remove that out of there. Your thoughts on those comments, and do you buy that? The RPO, he should. A lot of people look at it and say they should have got him more involved, especially being up 10. How do you see it?
Well, they experimented and they wanted to try to get into the shootout, and they should have utilized Jonathan. I mean, they should have used Taylor a lot more than what they did. That was a mistake. That was his way of saying, well, we failed. Well, they knew Tampa was going to look for it. They looked like a genius on the last drive. Instead of passing the ball, it was the Jonathan Taylor show going down the field.
Right.
Listen, Frank Reich, he's an offensive genius. Okay, he played quarterback. He was probably one of the best backup quarterbacks ever to play the game in Buffalo. Still won one of the, if I'm not mistaken, he was a quarterback for the Buffalo Bills that won a playoff game that was just for the ages.
Against
Okay,
the Houston Oilers, yes.
Right. It was for the
comeback.
ages, right?
Yes.
It was for the ages, but I don't want to get too far off track. Look, Frank Reich is doing a really good job here, and he's not a big proponent. He's not an advocate of the RPO. You know what? You want to talk about one back sets? Well, you know what? Fix it. You have another running back on that team. No one ever said you can't run jumbo two tight end sets, and you can run a 12 personnel, or you know what? Even a 13 personnel sometimes. No one ever said you can't do that. You just choose not to do that, Mr. Reich. And don't talk about your team only, we're single setbacks. That's your choice. But the reason why they're running more RPOs is because that's what Wentz ran in Philadelphia. Okay. That's what Carson Wentz ran in college. That's what Carson Wentz ran in Philadelphia. So they're trying to bring this offense a little bit more to what Carson Wentz likes. Plus, Carson didn't really run a dual back set in Philadelphia. But could you imagine Taylor running the football if you had a fullback in front of him like a Mike Allstott, or just a big tight end getting back there for a lead blocker and putting this big ass 7 or 8 yards behind the line of scrimmage? Think about that.
Well, is it fair to blame him not only for not using Taylor in the second half, but also their losses this year, Harry? They're 1-4 when it's a touchdown or less. I mean, to me, yes, that's on the players executing, but it's also on coaching. Is it fair to blame Reich on that?
He got caught up into the hype of trying to play Buck football. But Tampa didn't play Buck football in the second half. Tampa decided that they were going to play Indy football. They were going to run the football, and they were going to control that clock and get them back into the game. And that's why Tampa won this game. Indy got outcoached in this game. I'm going to be the first one to say that. They got completely outcoached. This game could have had extremely different results had they ran the football in the second half for Indianapolis.
And on top of that, you look back at it with Carson Wentz on the third down. Shaq Barrett, he goes back, strip sack, and then Carson Wentz with the interception to Antoine Winfield.
Yep.
Both passing plays at that point. Of course, 4 turnovers total in that second half, 5 for the game, and that was the difference in coming into it. Of course, the Colts, one of the top teams when it came back to turnover ratio. They did a good job of converting those turnovers that their defense created to score points. They didn't do that in this game. That's the difference. And there's the cat. So
no,
good.
this is the beautiful one. This is the zipper.
Zipper, okay.
This is zipper.
Here's a question here. Cat says,
Zipper.
Do you really think we beat Buffalo?
Yeah, I honestly do. I think that this team can beat the Buffalo Bills this week. I'm going to go back and take a look at the tape. I've looked at the Tampa game now, the past 2 games twice. I haven't really had a chance to study what's going on in Buffalo, but I can give you an early line.
Okay.
No, I can't, because Tampa's playing Atlanta next week. They're
Yeah,
not
they'll
going to
play
give me the
Atlanta
lines out. And
right.
it's the following week, if I'm not mistaken, they're playing Buffalo. Hold on, let me think here. Let me see if I can. Yeah, no, it's
Atlanta, New Orleans. And by the way, let's get this out of the way. They play Carolina twice, the Jets. They play New Orleans, and they play Buffalo. So Troy Polamalu, you could say again that they play no legit teams, of course, with the Jets and 2 against Carolina. but those are division rival games. It means absolutely nothing when it comes to division any given Sunday. They should win those games. It doesn't necessarily mean they will win those games on Sunday. Richard Taroka says, last time we were 8-3, 13 years ago in 2008. I'm not complaining. Cat, I'm not sure we beat Carolina and New Orleans either. I'm guessing 4-2 the rest of the way.
Here's an interesting stat for you.
Okay.
And I did find an early line for this. The Bills are playing December 12th in Tampa.
Yeah.
Tampa is a field goal favorite. Let me repeat it. 3 points.
Mm-hmm. 3 points.
Do you know what that means if the game was in Buffalo?
What would it mean?
It would mean that Buffalo would be either a small favorite or pick 'em.
That's it. That's how close the game is. It's not like Buffalo is overwhelming. Remember, this is a team that, by the way, lost to the Jacksonville Jaguars this year. This is a team that just got beat by who? Who? The Indianapolis Colts.
I know.
Yeah, you guys don't look at that stuff. Pac-Man 504, I'm Michael. Okay, appreciate the call. Once again, I thought Cat was Michael, but I appreciate the call. Call back anytime.
Troy.
Here I can't hear you. Please put the camera closer to your face.
That only works, bro, if it's my boy out of the New Orleans area, but you know, he must be making out with his sister, I think. I don't know.
Goodness gracious.
Brian Pearson. Ding, the dueling banjos. Here we come. Ding,
Yep.
ding, 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 ding,
Oh,
ding.
OJ has been underwhelming from day one. He's got the body, but he's just not a real football player.
Hey, could be right.
SMB just came back. You're all putting too much pressure on him. Good stuff. Bunting teases us with good games and then craps the bed the next.
And that's why they play zone defenses.
Sure. Some
Okay.
of them, yes.
That's what. Can you imagine SMB being a single up man cover corner?
Right. Right.
That's not his game. He plays a particular style of defense.
Well, they mix it up. They play him sometimes zone. They play him man to man, but there's different.
Yeah, but that
different
man coverage always has a safety over top, Peter.
I see that. And that's why I go back to everybody saying, well, SMB got burnt. No, it was the safety. It was supposed to be in position. It wasn't just SMB. It's a team game. I get it. It's so easy to say somebody got burnt on TV, but you don't see the safety that's supposed to be coming down. That's the difference. I think Shiana was wrong for doing that, but I think 15 years ago, a college team did that, attacked the quarterback. He fumbled. They recovered to kick the field goal and win it with 3 seconds left on the clock, I think. Yash says, go Bucs, bring your passion. Absolutely. We will do that on this show. Pac-Man. Cat, he's just got back. Let him get his feet wet. Jesus Christ.
He's talking about SMB.
Yep. Hardball, Chicago 2022. W. Burger, we're 8-3 people through all the injuries. Sit back, enjoy the show. Going for 2. David says, agree with all that to a certain extent, but the times that Howard's been in the game, he's been ineffective. Now, you
got to throw him the ball.
Right, but you listen to BA, he likes Howard when he's blocking. So, again, we don't know. We don't understand. We may want O.J. Howard to be that receiving threat, but that may not be the game plan at the end of the day. It may be just O.J. Howard in the blocking game. They like him to run block or pass block for that matter. All right, let's go out to Almon Davis. JTS has been playing every position on the defensive line. He was lined up at defensive tackle at least 5 times on Sunday, and he was getting pressure constantly. Another solid pickup by the Bucs, and that would be Joe Tryon Shayenka, absolutely playing in that interior line. Todd Bowles switching it up, switching him around, trying to have more playing time for him. Talk about that defensive line, especially in that second half versus the Colts, Harry.
You know what? They were still giving up a few points. They were giving up a lot of yards, but that was the design for it. They were trying to keep everything in front of them. And when they did that, they looked like the Tampa's defense was actually being a lot more effective for them. Look, I'm not panicking yet. Okay. And I'm not out there ready to slit my wrist or get on the Skyway Bridge and jump off of it. It's not even close to being the end of the season. You want to know when you need to get excited, Bucs fans? Get excited from week to week. Sit behind your team, win or lose week to week. Make sure they get into the playoffs. Start getting excited the last game of the season and let them get a nice tune-up in. And when the playoffs start, then you're going to see a little something. You're going to see a little wrinkle. It's going to be a little twist. Maybe there's a reason why O.J. Howard hasn't been catching a lot of footballs. Just remember the Greek told you this.
There you go. Harry the Greek professional handicapper, 1252 Sports, putting out there some knowledge. With that being said, if the playoffs started today, the Bucs would be in the third position. Of course, some games remaining on that schedule. So where, in your opinion, look inside your crystal ball, do you feel like the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, when all things are said and done, can be the number one seed? You look at the schedule for the Bucs, very favorable. You look at the schedule for the Packers, Aaron Rodgers. There's still some games on that schedule you have to play. And then on top of it, he has the toe injury, even though he played well versus the Rams. And then, of course, the Arizona Cardinals, they have some games that they have to play. How do you see this playing out?
Arizona's probably going to get the 1 seed. Tampa needs to try to fight to get that 2 seed. Let's give up on the 1 seed. Even if they win out, it's going to be very difficult for this team to get the 1 seed, in my opinion. But it really doesn't make a difference, honestly. I mean, sometimes when you're in the playoffs, like they showed last year when they were on the road, they played a lot better. There's less pressure for them. There's so many expectations, especially being the Super Bowl champions, man.
Right.
But they haven't played that well on the road this year. They just haven't. But then again, 8-3. Let me repeat it. 8-3. And you're not playing that well.
Well, here's the Cardinals' schedule. They got to play the Bears this Sunday. They got to play the Rams still on Monday Night Football. They got to play the Lions, which is, look, you may laugh about that, but the Lions have played tough. They got to play the Colts. They got to play the Cowboys, and they still got to play the Seahawks.
I'm seeing 4-3, 4-2. I mean, I see them winning four games, maybe 5.
Now I'm going to go look at Green Bay right now, and what were you surprised by?
My stomach wants to fold every time you say that.
Well, were you surprised, Harry, by the way, with that result of how much they dominated the Rams? I mean, figure out this Rams team at this point. They pick up Von Miller. You pick up Odell Beckham Jr. They had a touchdown in this game, but that defense hasn't nearly been as effective as a lot of people thought they were going to be. Leonard Floyd, Aaron Donald, Von Miller, Jalen Ramsey, and they're not able to get after Aaron Rodgers. Make some sense of it. And then once again, Matt Stafford not necessarily playing his best football, right?
No, Matthew, there's something going on with Matt Stafford. And I noticed this team is not playing anywhere near the way it was in the earlier part of the season. The play calling's even gotten a lot different. You're not seeing Matt Stafford rolling out to his right, buying a little bit of time. He gets into a groove when he has bad mechanics. I don't know if that makes sense. Okay. The guy likes to throw sidearm. He likes to toss a ball. He wants to get a little creative. And I'm watching a lot of nonsense. And when they went for it on 4th down in their own side of the 30-yard line, what the hell are you thinking? That's almost like a team that's going into the third quarter and the score is 3-0 and you're losing and you decide to go for it on 4th down. And you could take a 28-yard field goal to tie it up. I mean, it's almost as ignorant as that. Okay, what in the world would possess you to go into Green Bay's house and you're on your 30-yard line, your own, and it's 4th down and you're going for it? Because if he makes it, oh my God, Sean McVay, oh my Lord, he's the best play caller of all time. No, man, you were an idiot for doing that. And when that happened, shit went downhill, bro. Everything. It just went downhill for that entire team.
All right, let's go back out to Green Bay's schedule here. They have, of course, a bye week. Then they play the Bears. After the bye week, they play the Ravens. They play the Browns, the Vikings, and then the Lions to end the year. How do you see that schedule? See, that's what I'm saying. Like,
well, they're playing more division games. It's going to be a lot tougher.
Right.
It's going to be a lot tougher for Green Bay, in my opinion. Detroit can put it on them because they know them. And let me tell you something.
The Browns and the Ravens.
The Browns and Ravens can handle them pretty good. Let me tell you something. Green Bay's defense not that good, and the Browns and the Ravens do something that's really, really, really good. It's called run the football. Okay, and whenever you can run the football, you can keep Aaron Rodgers off the field.
And I get the urgency with a lot of fan base right now saying the Bucs need a number 1 seed, but did everybody forget that the Bucs actually went into Lambeau last year in the NFC Championship game and disposed of Aaron Rodgers and the Packers? So it's not like they haven't been there before. And once again, it's not like they can't turn it on, albeit it's a different team from last year because this year's team doesn't play that well on the road. So I understand where there is some concern from the fan base. But at the end of the day, if you have Tom Brady, and I know it sounds cliche, but if you have Tom Brady, you always have an opportunity to go a long, long way. All right.
You know what? I can also say whenever you have a Mike Evans or Chris Godwin, Antonio Brown, Rob Gronkowski, Leonard Fournette, the victim of volume, you can go a long, long way. Let me tell you something. The second string quarterback on this team, okay, they may not be 8-3, but they'd still be in first place. I assure you that, because they wouldn't be throwing the ball 100 times a game. Trust me.
You're probably right about that. We've gotten into a debate before in another platform. OJ plays stiff. He needs to bend, says Cat. Pac-Man 504. Then during the Colts Bucs week, people were like, we should have got Taylor over Winfield Jr. Did you not see why we picked Winfield Jr. over him? Winfield,
I thought it was Wirfs.
No. Wirfs was the first round pick. Winfield Jr. was the second round pick, and there was talk of and I believe the fan base wanted, BA even talked about drafting Jonathan Taylor out of Wisconsin, how much he liked him.
Wait a minute, but when was Taylor drafted?
Taylor was drafted in the second round. Was he
when
not?
Was Wirfs drafted?
He was drafted in the first round, but it was number 13.
Never mind. I'm sorry. I had him overrated. Yeah, I'm not that guy, by the way. I'm not that draft guru expert. You got to save that for, my boy up in northern New Jersey, Mr. Jacob Charnow, or even Jonathan Cole Allen. Those guys are like walking encyclopedias. Andrew Faubert. I mean, those guys. I mean, you said, hey, Keyshawn Vaughn, where he went to Vanderbilt, he went to this high school. He ran a 4.3 in the 40. He caught 126 passes. He broke. It's just amazing what these people know.
Versus LSU, absolutely, and still has not seen the starting lineup for this.
Those guys are so smart, man.
Absolutely, they probably figured out one would get one, but not all three of our corners. Exactly. Kat says, "Are we going to get one more year out of Brady?" It's a great question.
Possibly.
I think it's certainly possible. Never rule it out.
I'll tell you what. If he wins another Super Bowl, Tom Brady retires this year. That's my opinion.
I actually think he comes back and tries to win a third.
Oh.
If he's still playing at a high level, he still throws for over 30 touchdowns, and he's in that MVP type of conversation, and if BA comes back, more than likely he's going to, if you win a second Super Bowl, I think the sky's the limit. I think everybody's trying to push him out the door, and I get it. He's 44 years old, but there's been a lot of talk lately of him playing after 45, and I don't think that's a joke. I think if you're still playing at a high level, it's not a Peyton Manning situation, right? I mean, the last year of Manning's career, 9 touchdowns, 16 interceptions, dead arm, mostly running back and defense were winning games at that point. Manning was a DLG quarterback. If you get to that juncture of it and that stage in your career, then yeah, I could see, Brady walking away, but not playing at a high level right now. No, I don't see it. Even if he wins another Super Bowl, because he's going to think, you know what? I can win a third Super Bowl with this team. We keep everybody intact. All right, let's go out to Teresa. Hey, Harry and Peter, what's going on?
Teresa, hey, baby girl, how are you?
Troy Polamalu, King Troy, Trojan Legend SC. Let's get to this. Russell will be a Steeler. Where do you think Russell Wilson ends up, or can Seattle and Russell Wilson put this marriage back together? Because it certainly seems like they're headed for a divorce. It's either Pete Carroll is going to retire and walk away because he doesn't want to work with a new quarterback, or they're going to be able to come together with some type of agreement. How do you see this playing out with Wilson and the Seahawks?
Here, I'm going to give you the picture for it, okay?
Yes.
Zero chance. Okay. Zero chance. Let me tell you something. If the Chicago Bears didn't move up in the draft to go get Justin Fields, okay, first off, they wanted, and so did why is my brain not working? Russell Wilson. Russell Wilson wanted to go to Chicago.
Yes.
That was the big story. He wanted to go play for the Chicago Bears. Why? I don't know. But then again, that's what his dream was to go do. he's not going to be a Seattle
Seahawk
quarterback
next
next year.
year.
He's not going to be a Seahawk next year. No. And a lot of people are talking about possibility at Pittsburgh and everything else. I don't think Pittsburgh's never been big about giving up a lot of capital to get a player. And I don't think, wait a minute, I think he can walk away next year. I don't think they have to trade him. I think he can actually walk away on his own.
Well, no, I mean, no, he can't walk away because he's under a big contract. But
No, I think his contract, I think he's got, no, is it this year he can walk away?
no, I'm
Yeah,
not.
well, then he's not going to Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh's not going to give up multiple first rounds or even a first and a second round to go get an aging quarterback. Sorry, they just
What
don't do
about
that.
a team like the New York Giants? Does that
Absolutely.
make sense? To
That
me,
would make a lot of. Can you imagine him going to the Giants?
They have talent. It's not like they don't have talent. They don't have a quarterback that can manage a game, let alone win games.
They have Chicago Bear-itis. You know what that is?
What's that?
It's called Matt Nagy and Ryan Pace.
So you're saying Dave Gettleman and Joe Judge are not the answer at this point?
They might suck worse than those two.
Well, they fired Jason Garrett, and what did they score? 13 points and nearly lost the game to the Philadelphia Eagles.
That fixed your whole problem, guys. Hey, look, they took the play calling out of Matt Nagy and they started scoring 25, 30 points. Right. That's something, okay? Jason Garrett, FYI, was not your problem, okay? Your problem was your head football coach.
Yeah, well, the greatness of Daniel Jones will not play this Sunday. In fact, the former Tampa Bay Buccaneer quarterback of the Greg Schiano era, Mike Glennon, gets the start. You feel like the Giants can thrive with Glennon or no?
Wait a minute.
I know.
What?
Softball.
What? Did you just?
I said thrive and Glennon at the same time. Although, don't make fun because
can I give you a Fat Mike statement here?
Sure, go ahead. It's after 10.
Are you out of your fucking mind? Are you serious? What kind of shit are you smoking over there? Mike Glennon? Hang on. Is he really starting this game coming up?
Yes.
Hold on. I got to see something.
Yes.
Who are they playing? Who is this team? This is unreal. Hang on. I think I might give you a pick here. I'm going to give you a free pick. Okay. How can the Miami Dolphins only be a 3-point favorite?
Is it too good to be true? Or are they in New York or are they at home?
Wait a minute. And the game's getting ready to go to 2.5. New York's on the road at Miami. What are they? You know what, ladies and gentlemen? I haven't done this before in a long time. I don't care what the injury situation is down there. I don't care if they have Tua turn the ball over himself playing. I like that nickname, Tua turn the ball over. Okay. Tua Tagovailoa. Even if he's playing or not playing, take Miami in this game. Mike Glennon? Really?
Yes.
I think this is Mike Glennon is like Stephen Glasgow to me when I'm saying who?
Josh Rosen.
No, Fitzmagic.
Oh, Fitzpatrick. Yeah.
Oh, I can't. Okay. I mean, when you say Mike Glennon, that's like nails on a chalkboard.
Well, look, there was a Glennon mob here in the Tampa Bay area that wanted to see him start. They wanted to see this guy start instead of drafting a Jameis Winston and getting a Josh McCown. They wanted Mike Glennon to be the starting quarterback.
I see why they were enamored with him, and let's go back and look at it.
Your Bears paid him how much?
Hold on. That's another thing.
Yes.
I can understand why Tampa wanted him to start to see what they had, because if you remember correctly, Joe Flacco at that time was having a ton of success.
Sure.
Same style quarterback, tall, bulky, really didn't have the legs, could throw a deep ball, pretty smart. Wasn't the most mobile and didn't have the best backside presence. You see, the NFL is a copycat league.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Flacco's doing it. Well, we got a 6'6" quarterback too, and a Mike Glennon.
Correct.
And then, you know what? And then all the teams want to get involved. And then Chicago goes out and pays them $18 million. Hold on. Just to get Nick Foles.
Yes.
Okay. And to let him start 4 ball games just to put in Mitchell Trubisky. Hold on. And then they moved up in the draft to get him. Mike Glennon? Are you serious? Yeah, there you go. That's exactly how I feel. Mike, nothing personal. I'm sure you're a nice guy. You probably got a great wife. I could care less. But I am going to win a ton of money. Hey, guys, pretend you're playing poker at the dog track or at the horse track or in a casino. If they allow you to shove it all in with both hands, make sure you get both feet up there. Don't miss any chips. Come on, push it all the way into the middle. Mike Glennon sucks.
He does suck, and the Giants suck, and he's not the answer or the future. Hey, Harry and Peter says Teresa.
Hi,
Tua
Teresa.
Tagovailoa, King Troy, Trojan legend.
Yep.
Russell will be a Steeler. Kat says Wilson should be traded. The ship has sailed. So you agree that Wilson to the Giants or some other team? What about the Miami Dolphins? What about the Houston Texans? I mean, what teams are in that Russell Wilson sweepstakes along with the teams with Aaron Rodgers? Because you would think that Rodgers is also going to be out of Green Bay. So you got two veteran quarterbacks. And I'll ask you this. You never saw this before besides maybe Tom Brady, right? Tom Brady.
No.
Is it the Brady effect where both of these quarterbacks see, you know what? We can go to any team. We can get that management to do whatever you want to try to win a Super Bowl. Is all this caused by Tom Brady, in your opinion?
I do. The NFL is trying to copycat the league from what the NBA did. Okay, except the difference is you have a cap that you have to abide by. But it's going to be a lot harder. I don't think they're going to, even if Aaron Rodgers goes to another team, I don't think they're going to be able to duplicate in as well as Russell Wilson. If Russell Wilson filled the vacancy seat for Aaron Rodgers, is that team better or worse? I'm going to say worse. Okay, Aaron Rodgers, in my opinion, is a better quarterback. You talked about Houston. Let me tell you something, Peter. I think Houston found their quarterback. Okay, and he's sitting on the bench. Okay, Davis Mills is going to be a really good quarterback in a National Football League. He just needs a little bit of time to develop. They had to throw him in there because, unfortunately, Tyrod Taylor. Let me tell you something. Another quarterback that has a ton of potential. He's going to be a really good backup, but he's also been very injured. That's just my opinion. I don't think Houston goes after any kind of big names like that. I think they're going to stack up on some draft picks after they get rid of Deshaun Watson. That's just my opinion.
With the Bengals win over the Steelers, are we now basically saying that Big Ben is washed up? He's seen his best days. And do we feel like Rodgers could end up with the Pittsburgh Steelers? Is that a match made in heaven?
Strong possibility, especially in that type of offense. You know that Pittsburgh doesn't like to run the football, albeit they've been doing it this year primarily because they know that they're dealing with a quarterback and they're letting them play primarily because of the Super Bowls that he's won. And the guy's an icon in Pittsburgh and what he did for that organization. That's why they're running the ball as much as they can. Let me tell you something. Aaron Rodgers at that team with that with the receiver sets that they have there with the young receivers under that guidance and tutelage, I think could be deadly.
I agree. I absolutely agree. And they're definitely a Super Bowl contender with all the position. It's crazy as it sounds. Pittsburgh with a starting quarterback like a Rodgers could really solidify that offense. You have weapons on the outside. You have Najee Harris as a running back, and that defense is still there. Plus, you have a very underrated coach, and I believe he's very underrated. Mike Tomlin, what he's done consistently with that team. I'm not sure if he's going to get him to the playoffs this year.
Mike Tomlin retired today. He's first ballot Hall of Famer.
Agree. Absolutely agree with that. What he's done with the Steelers over his career. Fred Swayze Moore says Heineke was a beast at ODU.
Old Dominion, baby.
Old Dominion. There you go. Good stuff there, Fred. Can't wait to see Tampa people in Atlanta. Huge tailgate. Come and see me there. Teresa says the defense with the first takeaway really sparked the team on both sides. Agree?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely.
All right. Kat says, my problem is zone defense on 3rd and 5. We'll play 10 yards off the ball. It's ridiculous. We are just horrible on 3rd down.
Cats, are you just noticing that now? They do that literally every game. The only time they didn't do it was the Super Bowl. Let me repeat it to you. The only game they didn't play that type of defense was in the Super Bowl. They do that every single game. They got this philosophy and the mentality back from the old Rams from the early 80s through the mid 80s. It's called bend, but don't break. They give up a ton of yards from the 20 to the 20, and then the field gets a lot shorter. And the reason why they do it, just like the Rams did in the 80s, because they were offensive juggernauts. You score field goals, we'll score touchdowns. That's the mentality for it.
Yeah, that's the mentality.
And by the way, I agree with him. I hate it.
I don't like it either, but
absolutely despise it. But they don't have the secondary to continually run man up. They just don't.
All right, let's go out, or they have not been healthy this year. So let's see here. Let's go out to Teresa. What about the offensive line taking everything in stride? Next man up mentality at its finest. Sorry, Stinney is hurt. I heard he's going to the IR. Hate that, but we should get Marpet back this week. She said, hopefully.
Yeah.
David says they called it the greatest comeback in playoff history against the Houston Oilers.
Yep.
Warren Moon, of course, Haywood Jeffries, Ernest Givens. Who could forget it? In fact, I believe they were up like 31-3, and
Yep.
Buffalo comes storming back and wins 38-35 with the former Tampa Bay Buccaneer kicker Steve Christie doing the honors. Yes,
You
sir.
remember that? I do remember that, Pete.
Stop Josh Allen, stop Buffalo. It's that simple. Agree?
That's
With
the
Buffalo?
second. That's the second best comment right there. There's a woman that knows her football right there. Knows exactly what they have to do because Buffalo's not stopping anybody in defense. They're just not as good as what they were. This defense should be a top 5 defense in the National Football League. Even if they were rated in the top 5, they're not playing like it.
No.
Okay, that team is not stopping people like they're supposed to. They're not getting after the quarterback. But you are correct, absolutely correct. You stop Josh Allen, it's done because they don't run the football very much, and I don't think they can. That's the problem.
They can't. And let's see here. Let's go out to Cat. SMB was getting burned before the elbow injury. Troy Polamalu, SMB is the new Hargraves. Let's not get ridiculous.
Oh, will you stop?
Yeah, would you shut up? Bucs are keeping OJ in the weeds. Fred says Bucs are 8-3. Enjoyed the ride. We haven't seen this often. 17-3. Let's effing go. I like it. Let me go ahead and fire the cannons. Give you the woo right there.
Woo!
All right. Richard Taroka says circle of the NFL. Packers own Rams. Rams own Bucs. Bucs own the Packers.
All right. So do you guys understand what that means? That means NFL.
Right. Not
no, it's no logic. That's
None.
what it means. There's no logic.
Let's see here. Kat says the Packers have the easiest road. Their win out will probably end up in Green Bay again, which again, the Bucs were able to take care of business. So we'll see. Teams up north don't have an easy road. Christopher Cole, Rams have been a dumpster fire since Woods went down. Agree with that? I mean, once again,
look at Christopher Cole just dropping that knowledge, bro.
Woods went down, okay, and he's a guy that's an inside receiver. He's going to play the slot. He's going to get inside. Odell Beckham is going to be the outside. So now Odell has to do the same thing, and he hasn't been able to do it, although, once again, he caught a touchdown. So hopefully for their sake, that's something. But at the end of the day, losing Woods, but, you know, the defense playing the way they are with Aaron Donald, Leonard Floyd, Jalen Ramsey, and Von Miller, it's not working out for them. The defense has taken a step back. They have regressed this year.
Yeah, I'd have to agree with that.
Okay. All right.
Good observation.
Thank you. Troy says teams up north don't have an easy road. We read that. Kat says, Harry, Green Bay's defense is way better this year.
No, they're not.
Detroit will get destroyed. All right, let's go out to Kat again. Green Bay is 5th in the league in points allowed. David says, if we can keep everybody for the 3rd year, I see Brady coming back. Fred says, as long as Brady's playing well, his ego won't let him retire. But again, think about it, Fred. If you're playing at a high level, you're still getting it done. You're still making the money. And your wife, happy life, she's happy with it, which we don't know that situation. I know, Harry, you got to get out of here, so I will get you out of here once we read all these comments. If she's happy with it and she's checking off on it, why not come back? If you've got everybody in place again, why not?
You know what? I don't know if that's just the case. At some point in time, every snap you play, you take a chance of permanently maiming yourself. 44 years old. He's been blessed beyond the word blessed to be able to play as long as he has and as healthy as he has been. He suffered a couple of knee injuries. You know, I don't know how many concussions the man has suffered. I'm sure he's had multiple concussions. I mean, you have to worry about CTE. You got to worry about a lot of different things. And I'm sure Giselle doesn't want to see her husband in 5 years walking with 2 canes. She doesn't want to see that. And it can happen, unfortunately.
Yeah, I agree. Let's see. Brady wins 2. His ego will bring him back for 3. Never been done. I agree, Peter. David says, how do you think our defense is going to handle Patterson now that Atlanta is using them in multiple ways? They were using him in the first matchup multiple ways. So that's one of the things that we'll definitely discuss during the pregame show. Taylor Jean says, happy Tuesday, guys.
Hi,
Happy
Taylor.
Tuesday to you, sweetie. I know you've been through a lot lately, so God bless you and your family. Mike Lennon is the father of who?
Next comment.
Great show, guys. Thank you, Fred. Appreciate it. Fred Sweezy, not sure I would use the term ego as to why he hasn't retired. He loves what he does and just happens to be the GOAT. He's one of the most humble people and always gives credit to where credit is due. And Troy Polamalu, King Troy, Trojan Legend SC. OBJ is looking for a trade to Tampa.
Shitter!
Fred says, we're talking about a guy called the GOAT. He's not leaving until he feels he doesn't have it, which is a good point, but I understand where Taylor's coming from. But again, that's what makes...
Great comment, Taylor. Great comment.
Right. That's what makes Brady the fiery competitor that he is. I tell you what, go ahead and promote...
Now, hold on, but now I know where Joshua gets all his knowledge from.
Yes. Joshua Cole Allen of Pewter Report. Thanks a lot for coming on the shows before and having me out there on Sunday night to help you guys out. See John Ledger and, of course, Scott Reynolds and Casey Hudson. It was great hanging out with you guys there at Whiskey Wings in Temple Terrace. So good times there. Harry, go ahead and promote yourself here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television.
You can catch me Friday nights, 9 p.m. Eastern, 8 p.m. Central Time on 1252 Sports Chicago. You can follow me on Facebook, Harry Berg, Twitter, Harry Berg TP. That's the letter TP, and I have no idea. I have just go to Harry Berg Facebook, friend me. We'll be good. But you can find me on 1252 Sports. I have a show called The Over Under. I'm your host, Harry the Greek. My co-host is sitting right next to me over here, Mr. Peter Blake. We're going to run through all the games in the National Football League. We're going to tell you which games we're going to go to Texas on, which means what?
Pass on that game. Go to El Paso.
There you go.
Pass on the game.
That's what we're going to do. We have a lot of fun. It's very interactive. We have open phone lines. And that's about it. Peter, thank you so much for having me on. I got to get to bed. I got to get up for work early in the morning. Much love, brother. Thank you for NSPN for having me on. And let's see if we can get you some shares out there as well.
Sounds good, my friend. Harry the Greek, professional handicapper extraordinaire, 1252 Chicago Sports. Appreciate the time here on the Evolution. All right.
Deuces, brother.
All right, there you go. Good stuff there. Let's go ahead, go out to Tom Brady, his comments. We'll keep it going here. I don't have to necessarily get off. I'd like to talk to you guys more. Open phone line if you guys want to call up. 727-255-0391. It's 727-255-0391. Richard says, good night. Go Bucs. Go Bucs to you. Fred says, Big Ben loves what he does, but the Eagle will tell him it is time. It is time for him to go. He is not the same quarterback. Tom Brady on his podcast with Jim Gray. Always fun talking to Jim Gray on a Monday after winning, especially fun after we beat the Colts, which we've done pretty good job lately. I think I beat the Colts the last 9 times I played them. It was a great win in Indy. It turns out that horseshoe on their helmet isn't as lucky as it seems, which really sucks for them, but not for us. You've got to love Tom Brady and trolling 1,000 right there. And then this from Bruce Arians talking about home field advantage and care of ProFootballTalk.com. There's no doubt about it, as Arians told reporters on Monday regarding the importance of spending January at home. It's back like the old days. It only ever happened a couple times in history of the league where teams advanced to the Super Bowl while playing every playoff game on the road. When I was in Pittsburgh, we went to the Super Bowl and won with all the road games. I think the Giants may have done it, but that's not very easy. It's a very hard thing with fans. People forget. Everybody talks about road woes. We're 500 on the road right now. That's pretty damn good. In the old days, when there are fans in the stands and you go and win in a place like Philly, you go and win in a place like Indy, there are hard stadiums to win in. Home field advantage in the playoffs is a huge, huge advantage. So BA definitely understands the urgency to have that number 1 seed. But even if you don't get the number 1 seed, it's not the end of the world. You win a division, you take care of business, you got that one home playoff game, and then after that, you have no idea what happens. Thanks to Harry the Greek, my professional handicapper of 1252 Sports. We'll be back tomorrow night with Dennis Phillips of ABC Action News and other guests and celebrities here on the Evolution of Sports Talk Television. Let me read this one comment. Thank you, Harry, for the insight. Thank you, Kat, for tuning in. As always, thanks a lot for Michael calling tonight and all your comments and texts. Definitely tune in tomorrow night live here on NSPN. I love St. Pete. And if you're local, get out to Ducky's Sports Lounge, 1719 West Kennedy Boulevard in Tampa for your pre-half and post-game editions of your NSPN watch party, getting you ready for Bucs versus the Falcons. Let's do it how we end off the night here on the Sports Web. Bring your passion, bring your excitement. Just don't bring any nonsense. I'm your host, Peter Blake. Have a great night.
Stan Arthur here for the I Love St. Pete Facebook group. If you're a business owner looking to connect with tens of thousands of potential new local customers, you owe it to yourself to get enrolled in our Key Tag Rewards program. Since 2019, we've signed up more than 200 local merchants. Sponsor opportunities are available too, such as our group banner ad and even your own custom key tags. Just go to stpetekeytag.com, get enrolled, and get ready to get busy. stpetekeytag.com.